Hey everybody, welcome back to round 6. We're starting things up with the Duergar Theurge. The initiative order is Theurge, Eldith, and then her companion character, the Dwarven Hammerer. Round 6, perhaps the final round. We'll see. So I want to thank you for sending in and commenting on your suggestions for how things, what would the villain do in this situation? You've all made some great points, and that's going to influence what happens here. The jailer, the wounded Duergar jailer, not yet ready to surrender or concede this battle, wrestles free enough from the grasp of Brandis and Cassie. He's technically still grabbed, but he manages to swing his warhammer in a great circle up over his head in an attempt to smash the skull of the nearby badly wounded Rogar. Well, folks, this could end our Dwarven companion if it hits. It's plus 10 versus armor class, 1d10 plus 1 damage. Let's give this thing a roll. We'll see what happens. That's a 9. That's going to be a 19. Rogar's defenses are too high. As a shielded, heavily armored defender, his armor class is 22. He manages to avoid the attack of the jailer. Well, the Warhammer attack was his standard action. He still has a move action and a minor available. Seeing that he can't penetrate the defenses of the dwarf, he then attempts to turn just enough in order to launch an infernal quill at Cassie in her cage. She is the one who has the most solid grasp and hold of the jailer. So back when I did the rolls with the blue die to determine who had a hold of the jailer, Cassie was the one who had the primary flanking advantage. Brandis actually would not have had that. We would have had to have had another ally over here. So we're just going to assume that he has a loose grasp that's just attempting to help Cassie, but Cassie's the one who's got him and is holding him kind of up from running around on the board. She's pulling him up close to the cage. So in an attempt to crush the defender, it fails. He then turns and launches an infernal quill right at Cassie. This is a ranged attack, and it provokes. Rogar, being the closest, will attack first. He's attempting to make a Warhammer attack. That's a 16 plus his bonuses is definitely good enough to hit a 19 armor class. So he strikes the Theurge. Damage will be 1d10 plus 6. Wow, that's a good roll. So about 15 damage. So remember, for this battle, perhaps even through this adventure, we've been doubling the static modifiers in support of some guidelines made by people that have played this game far more than I have, and have recommended that Monster Manual 1 and 2 write-ups double those static damage modifiers. I'd be interested to know what your experience is with that, and if you do anything similar. Did you increase the damage for Monster Manual 1 and Monster Manual 2 creatures? So, our Theurge is down to 5 hit points now. Horribly wounded. He's struck by the Warhammer of Rogar. He's continuing to turn to launch this infernal quill at Cassie, And now it is all up to Eldith. All right, we're breaking it back out. The old Viking die, the one that's so hard to read, especially as you get into your 50s. All right, here it goes. That is a 13. I bet this is good enough. Yep, with the bonuses, that's a definite hit. And so that, my friends, should put an end to the jailer. That's going to be a D12. Let's just roll our die up here. A D12 plus 7. Not the greatest roll, but still with a plus 7 on the damage modifier, that's enough to drop him to 0. So straight by the book, I could have the battle simply be over. He is absolutely dropped by the axe and the warhammer attacks. So what he was attempting to do was to shoot an infernal quill at Cassie, poison her, get her grip off of him so that he could spend his last action running out and escaping. He needed to risk the opportunity attacks from our heroes. And yeah, he was unsuccessful. I thought he might have enough hit points to pull that off, but I think Rogar especially hit him hard. So the flaming vents potentially erupt here. Space number 4, counting from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have one on the far side over here. So some hot, fiery air vents up through a steam vent over this way. Eldith, almost her voice cracking with fatigue and near panic and full of adrenaline, tells Rogar to go get the dwarf. What was his name? Forgot his name. To get him out of the torture device. Donnell. Sorry, Donnell. Get Donnell out of the torture device. Lays him down over here. Rogar gets off of the steam vent. And a quick technical question, 4th edition D&D. We understand the characters are bloodied. They're badly wounded. That's a mechanic I do like in 4th edition. It kind of gives me the idea that up to the bloodied situation, maybe they're not really even hit. It's just kind of attacks were close but didn't quite land. And then perhaps once they get bloodied, maybe that was first blood. Maybe they got hit and, the blood was drawn. First blood was drawn. Again, not necessarily just being filled with crossbow bolts or slashed a half a dozen times, but they took that one wound that showed that they were being weakened, and then once they drop to 0, they were hit again, potentially with a fatal blow. So, poisoned. The encounter is over. What happens to the poison condition? I'm just a little rusty on my 4th edition rules, so let me take a look and see if I can get an answer there. So I believe the gist of it is when an encounter is finished, it's a time to take a short rest. And during a short rest, conditions end. And so even if you had something positive, like if you had summoned something and it was helping you during the battle, during this short rest, it would go away. So it seems to me that by the book, once the battle is over, as long as there is nothing pressing happening or anything that would keep you from resting, then I think you could go into a short rest and the conditions will end. And I don't think you need to make any additional saving throws. Let me know if that's not correct. but I believe the short rest is a big deal. So if you're doing anything that would not be considered resting, like let's say if there was a hurry to accomplish something here before time ran out, or we needed to run immediately because the whole place was caving in or whatever, I think we would still need to be tracking time, and perhaps the poison damage would continue. It's not such a big deal here due to the regeneration that Eldith has going on with the power that she used. And also, during that short rest, that regeneration power is going to end as well. So I think wherever her hit points are right at this point, the encounter's over. They basically are going to take a short rest, and then I think her hit points stay at their current total. So the villager Cassie here managed to really help the party by keeping the jailer grabbed, along with Brandis and his attempts to help as well. So they survived. She potentially would have been hit by a poisonous quill, and perhaps that would have had a different result. I don't think she would have survived that. So the jailer is killed, and now we can set free the different villagers, perhaps talk to Donald and some of the others. Somebody may have some information. So why were they being held captive, and where is Vistra? Well, combining our board games with our 4th edition role-playing game, or any edition role-playing game you may want to use, I'm taking my hints from the adventure book, and we're going to say that this crowd here understands that they were being held as prisoners, recent prisoners, somewhat recent, to be taken to work in the mines under their Duragar masters. Some other prisoners, especially those that have proven to be troublesome, and we know for sure that Vistra was. She killed many a monster before she was dropped herself. They have been taken deeper, and they are being set up to help serve as a sacrifice for some strange otherworldly gate that is being constructed and powered by a terrible magic. So Ashardalon, the great red dragon, is seeming to work with another outside force to construct this magical gate that is being fueled somehow. And through this gate will emerge horrible things, an army of horrible things. And Vistra, along with others, are rumored to be held prisoner and will serve as offerings and sacrifices to these otherworldly creatures as they enter our world in order to conquer the area. Well, thank you everybody for watching my series here, another playthrough of mixing board gaming, wargaming, and role-playing games. The story will continue. We'll continue to draw inspiration from the adventure book and play out some future adventures. So perhaps we'll have some different adventurers join us in the future, maybe a little larger party to go in and see if we can make any more progress on finally finding and hopefully saving Vistra in the future. Take care, everybody, and let me know if you have any special background in 4th edition and know how to handle those ongoing conditions at the end of an encounter. Does a short rest simply just stop that immediately, or do you need to sit there and kind of roll It seems a little silly that you just sit there and roll and roll and roll until the save ends, but looks like if you don't take a short rest, then you're still kind of tracking time, and something like that could possibly continue. And you might even roll yourself into another encounter immediately without having a chance to take a short rest. But it seems like taking a short rest is really the answer to this. It cuts off conditions and ends different effects and that kind of thing. So I think that's a pretty clean way to do it. So let me know if you have a differing opinion, or perhaps a house rule or something like that that might be interesting to share. Take care, everybody, and I'll catch you later.